Okay, hello everybody. I'm growing some jalapenos outside. As you can see here, this is my white bucket farm. Everything is in buckets, there's nothing in the ground. And anyway, there's some jalapenos. They're very mild. These are really nice jalapenos. They're really good. I love the flavor of jalapenos. You know, you get something like a habanero, and number one, they're way too hot, and number two, the flavor just gives me a headache. I don't like the flavor of them. But jalapenos are good, especially the mild ones. You know, I'm not really crazy about hot stuff, but these peppers are really good. You know, you can tell a hot jalapeno is going to have little brown wrinkles in it, kind of. You know, you can tell that those are the hottest. All right, now look at this. These are red bell peppers. But what happened was there were so many of them on this plant that I didn't trim them. You know, I didn't cut them off to let some of them get real big. So I ended up with about 100 of these little ones this size, and man, they're good. I love them. In fact, when this plant is done, I'm going to do it again. They're really good. Okay, so anyway, this is the white bucket garden. I have some tomatoes. There's my watermelon. I had about 40 watermelons on this plant, and then they all started dying off except for that one. So I don't know what's going on. Here's a cherry tomato. I don't know what happened to this thing. It got some kind of disease. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to leave it until the tomatoes, you know, start dying off. I mean, they're good. I've gotten about 40 of them, 50 of them off that plant already, and they're good, you know. They taste good. Okay, so here we are now in the kitchen. Now what I did was I washed the jalapenos, I cut them in half, and I removed all the seeds. Now I'm going to add the filling. The filling is Boursin cheese, cheddar cheese, and cream cheese. If you've never had Boursin cheese, you're really missing out. Boursin is really good cheese. You can find it in the specialty section of the store. All right, now there is some spinach that it's frozen spinach. So what I did, I thawed it out, and then I squeezed out all the liquid. You know, you don't want any liquid in there. You want this cheese to be as thick as possible. Okay, so right now there's 2 things of Boursin cheese, one, I don't know, maybe 3 ounces of cheddar, and here goes a half of an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. The cream cheese there is just to stretch it out a little. But the Boursin, again, man, that stuff is so good. Oh boy, if you've never had it, you gotta try it, and I guarantee you'll love it. Get the garlic, and I think it's garlic and chive. They make a whole bunch of different kinds nowadays, but the garlic and chives, don't get the basil one. I don't like the basil. The garlic and chives is better. Okay, now here goes some granulated garlic to make up for that cream cheese that's in there. You know, the cream cheese doesn't have a lot of flavor. And there's black pepper, and then I'm going to also add some salt. And all of those ingredients are making up for the cream cheese and of course the spinach, you know. Oh, I'm also going to add 1 egg to this. The reason I'm adding an egg is because once it cooks, I don't want it to be real runny and just run out of the peppers. You know, the egg will kind of hold it all together. It's kind of like glue, you know. So once I put it on the machine here, let me get it going. There we go. I didn't put the machine to where you could see it. It's really not necessary. It doesn't mix for long. It only mixes a little while. All right, there's already 1 egg added to that. Okay, and you can see it's still nice and thick. All right. All right, now I'm just going to stuff the peppers. Now what I did, you know, I have a regular egg wash. It's egg and milk, breadcrumbs, and flour. But what I did was I added some flour to the eggs and milk to make it thicker. You know, I wanted it more like a thin batter, so it'll stick better to the peppers. You know. Okay, so anyway, there I'm stuffing them all. Boy, these things really came out great. Now, if you want, you can wrap them in bacon. You know, after you bread them. but I didn't think the bacon was necessary. I love them just the way they are. All right, now that little bit there I'm saving. I'm going to stuff some chicken breast with that little bit of cheese left. You know, I'm going to add breadcrumbs to that cheese so that it doesn't run out of the chicken breast. I don't have that on film, unfortunately, so that's how that goes. All right, now here we go. I'm dipping them in the flour first, then the eggs, then the breadcrumbs. All right, flour, egg, and breadcrumbs. Keep one hand wet and one hand dry, and you'll have a better time at it. You see, let me see, what is that? My left hand is wet and my right hand is dry. If you use one hand for both the wet and dry, you're going to end up breading your hand. You know, you end up with a big lump of breading on your hands, and it's just a big mess. Try to keep one hand wet, one hand dry. It really works. All right, so now what I'm going to do after I get these all breaded is I'm going to put them in the freezer for, I don't know, approximately an hour. And the whole reason is because when I fry them, you know, I want them to be, you know, I want them to hold together. So I want them, you know, pretty strong together when I deep fry them. Now, I'm not going to deep fry them completely, 100%. What I'm doing is I'm just going to brown them a little bit in the deep fryer, and then I'm going to freeze them again. And then once I freeze them, I'm going to put them into the food saver. You'll see at the end what I'm talking about. But anyway, here's one hand wet, one hand dry, and everything's working out. All right. You know, these things are great if you have some company over and you need a, you know, some appetizer or something. This is it right here. Now, when I finish them off, I'm going to finish them in the toaster oven. You know, so you don't have to crank up your oven. You know, just toaster oven these things. They're really good. All right, so there they are breaded. Now they're going to go into the freezer for approximately 1 hour. I'm going to say 1 hour. We'll see. Okay, here we go. All right, now I have the deep fryer. The deep fryer's on 350. All right, there they go. And I'm not going to cook them all the way through. I'm only cooking them just to brown them, just to get everything stuck together. That's basically it. All right, there. Okay, now what's going to happen is I'm going to put them into the freezer now to get a real hard freeze on them. They're going to actually be in there overnight. And the reason is because when you food saver, when you shrink wrap them, they've got to be hard. You know, they've got to be frozen. Otherwise, if you shrink wrap them now, what'll happen is they'll all just get smashed. You know, they're it's going to be a big mess if you try to shrink wrap them now. Forget it. It's going to be a big mess. All right, so there you go. All right, so now they're going into the freezer till the next day. They're going to be nice and frozen, and they're going to be very easy to shrink wrap. Okay, there they are. Beautiful. All right, now here they are. Now I'm putting them 3 or 4 in a bag. All right, I'm going to seal them up. Now you see what I mean. If they're not frozen and you tried to do this, you'd have one big mess on your hands. They would all be smashed. So, you know, you got to freeze them. But I tell you what, man, these are so good. Like I said, you could wrap them in bacon if you want. But the thing is, if you do wrap them in bacon, you have to pre-cook the bacon. It has to be about a little bit less than halfway done, the bacon. Because if you use raw bacon, the bacon won't cook by the time the peppers start to burn. Hey, now wait a minute. You might be able to find these someplace else around town, but you're not going to find them any better than this right here. See you later. I got to go. I got to eat.